Hello, fellow frugal filmmakers. This is Sean, and I want to give you a 4-minute tutorial or quick roundup for the Tascam DR-40. That's this little buddy. It's small, it's compact, and has a lot of features. And let's see what they are. Okay, we have the Tascam DR-40 linear PCM recorder in my hand, and I'm on my desk with it powered off, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on by pressing and holding the stop button for 4 seconds, and after about 4 seconds it boots up and it's ready to record. The first thing I always do, always, is go into the menu and check my record settings. So once you're in the record settings, it's typically going to give you the format. You always want to record in WAV. This Tascam unit actually gives you multiple options for WAV recording. If you press the up and down arrow keys, you can see it can flip to WAV 24-bit, and of course MP3 all the way up to 320. And it's good to have those different options if you need to use this as a dictaphone or if you're really tight on space. What I love about this is if you scroll down, actually records in broadcast wave format, which allows to store metadata, and that's very important. You can record broadcast 16-bit or 24-bit. I always recommend BWF 24-bit. It's a wave file that'll play in almost any device, just stores metadata. So we're going to go back over to the left and go back down to sample rate, and typically it'll start off at 44.1. I always record at 96K. However, if you're tight on space, you can back down to 48 kilohertz. You scroll back left and go down to size. You have an option for what kind of maximum file size you want for your individual recordings. It goes down as low as 64 megs, all the way up to 2 gigabytes. I always leave it at 2 gigabytes and let the device decide if it's going to run out or not. Let's go down to low cut. Personally, I always leave low cut off unless I'm recording outdoors. Outdoors, you tend to get a lot more rumble just from traffic, let that be foot traffic, road traffic, or even air traffic above. It gives you a rumble that you typically won't hear. So I go ahead and turn that on when I'm outside. If it's just decent, then I leave it at 80 hertz. However, it's pretty bad, I go ahead and crank it up to 120 hertz, and that's the most you can use the roll-off for this Tascam unit. However, for indoors, I do leave it off, because typically you want to have pristine recording and record everything you can. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over and go down to pre-record. Pre-record does exactly what it sounds like. It actually pre-records 2 full seconds before you actually hit record the second time. Recording those 2 seconds is very valuable, because just in case the director says action before you're ready, you can always have that 2 seconds buffer to protect you. So I always turn that on, and let's go ahead and go down to the auto record mode. And like auto levels for most devices, this is not auto levels, but auto recording on or off. Basically, if you're going to use it as a dictaphone, it'll start and stop if your voice becomes a certain loudness. I've rarely used this, but if you want to, you can turn it on. So I'm going to back it up, and we're going to go down to another option on the Tascam, which I think is vital, is turning on the back speaker. So right now it's turned off. I'm going to flip it up, and it's now on. The little back speaker, of course, is back here, and it's not very big, but if you're on location and you don't have headphones, and you want to hear if you captured something, this is the only way you can do it. Alright, we're back to the menu. Furthest item in this menu is Others. You go to Others, it gives you information. Typically this is file information, such as what bit rate, what sample rate, how long, and the date and the size. Since we don't have any files on here, there's no information. Right now there's also a tuner on here. If you're a guitarist and you want to tune to a certain frequency, you can set it right here and calibrate. Right now it's calibrated for 440, and set the tune for a guitar. You have options for effects. I never use those. File names. You can actually set a file name or file type such as a word or a date. And yes, it only does word and date. This is the reset the count. If you press enter on this option right here where it says count initialize or count init, it's going to say, do you want to execute that? And it says, are you sure you want to reset the count? Or are you sure you want to initialize the count? Press enter for yes or press stop for now. For me, it doesn't matter, so I'll go ahead and hit yes, and boom, it's reset. And you see below, it says Tascam _001. If you had several files and you wanted to reset the count, you could do that by this option right here. We're going to go down to date and time. You always want to make sure you have the correct date and time. Right now, it is April the 4th, 2012, around 10:40 p.m. Remote, I don't have the remote, so that doesn't count. And the system. Right now, you can set it to auto off after 10 minutes. I usually leave it at 10 minutes. Some people might want to conserve batteries and do it after 3. I recommend 10 minutes. You can also set it up to 30 minutes, but that's going to eat up some batteries in my opinion. So we also have the option for a backlight, how long you want to have that on before the backlight will turn off. That will also save some batteries. I keep it at 30 seconds because if I'm not looking at the device for more than 30 seconds, it probably doesn't matter. Some people may want to always leave it on. Some people might want to just leave it for 5 seconds or leave it all the way off. I need that 30 seconds just to glance over just in case. And of course, you have the contrast, crank it up, turns to black, crank it down, and gets lighter and lighter and lighter. 7 works good for me in most instances. Then it's going to ask for battery type. You have alkaline or nickel anhydride, and that's basically rechargeable batteries. Right now I have just the alkaline batteries that came with the Tascam device in it, and it's still rocking. Here's another thing you want to pay attention to is phantom power. In this menu, phantom power has 2 options. You have the option of 48 volts or 24 volts. Most microphones that require phantom power will require 48 volts. However, there are a few microphones that only require 24 volts. Here you can set that option, press enter, it says, are you sure you want to use this? Go ahead and press enter. And now it's configuring the device to only use 24 volts for phantom power. I recommend just leaving this alone and leaving at 48 volts. That way it will be compatible with most microphones that you use, such as boom microphones. That's the system menu, and that's the menu settings in general. Let me show you a few other things that I like about this device, and it makes it really handy. You have the buttons right here, right on your device. It gets you ready to go. You have your stop, play, and record buttons right in the center of the device. You have your reverse or fast forward. You have your headphone volume down or up. And of course your menu system right there. You can also choose which inputs you want to use, 1 and 2, which are typically the onboard mics. You have 3 and 4, which are the XLR 1/4-inch combo jacks. And then of course you can set your record mode. Now record mode allows you to change from stereo down to mono, which is wonderful. If you ever wanted just to record one channel from, say, a single mic, but you didn't want to waste all that space, well, the Tascam people thought of that. And of course you can set your source, either the top mics, or you can change it for external mic 1, which is wonderful. Other devices such as the H4n never had this option, and it really, well, sucked. Let's go back to record mode. You have the option of stereo, of course, and of course choosing either the internal microphones or the external microphones, and they can consider this external 1 and 2. And nice about that, if you select up again, it gives you independent volume control, which is wonderful, which is needed if you're going to run 2 separate mics. I've used that for boom miking and also having a lav mic on, say, another talent that's off screen. This also has the option for mid-side decoding. Most people won't use that, and it's rare if you'll ever use that, besides if you have a stereo mid-side mic for recording ambient sounds. So we'll go ahead and put this down to internal mic, and you have an option to go up again for dual mode. Yes, folks, this is my favorite thing about the device. Basically, it records a backup track in case your levels get too loud. On this device, it goes down to negative 12 dB. You can crank it up to negative 6 dB, but I just say negative 12 dB. Bring it down as much as I can. If I need it, I'll use it. I always recommend using the limiter option, where it says level control. Never use auto levels. Again, never use auto levels. You can use peak reduction, however, then it disables the dual level option, which then that defeats the purpose. Or you can have it off for level control and just pray you never clip. The dual levels will still help you with that, but if for some reason the dual levels clip, you're not saved. So I always leave limiter on and still MSD code off. Then you have 4-channel, which means you can use record from the front mics and the bottom mics. And then you have overdub. So basically you record a track and then need to record another track over top of it. Kind of like recording your own one-man band. So that's the main record settings on the device. I'm going to go ahead and back out. I go back down to dual mode. This is my favorite thing about the device. And I'm back ready to record. As you can see, it's set to record at 1 and 2, and then it has a negative 12 dB track. There's two stereo tracks going to be recorded at the same time. Now, the only catch with this is because it's recording a separate stereo track at the same time, use double the space. It means you have half the recording time. So if you think you have a 16 gig card and you're using dual recording, really you only have an 8 gig card. So let me go ahead and show you the options on this side. It's pretty nicely laid out. You have the hold, which will protect it from buttons being pressed if you're booming and you just need to continuously record. You don't want to have it accidentally hit stop. I don't typically leave it on record or hold. Right now it says hold is on, so I can't even turn this record mode off, which is fine by me. So I'll go ahead and leave it like that for now. This controls your input levels. So if I go ahead and turn the hold off, see, input levels can even change with the hold on, which is nice. And I can adjust my input levels. And you see at the very bottom it says my internal mic level is at the 65 mark. You can crank it all the way up if you want. I don't recommend that because then if you ever have any really loud sounds, you're going to instantly peak. I'm probably 3 or 4 feet away and I'm close to peaking already, so I always keep it down about 65 to 70. That's a good safe number, and definitely make sure you're safe even with loud sounds. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over back to the side again, and it gives you a couple options on the external end, which basically means these two big boys. Now right here you have your, if you switch it over here, the far left, you have a line input. It means you get plus 4 dBu line input available. It means if you record from, say, a band mixer, say at a club, you can record that directly into your DR-40. You get your standard mic input, the middle one right there, and that's for any devices that do not require phantom power, like lav mics. And then for if you have a boom mic, or if you're recording with a nice condenser mic, you want to turn it all the way to the far right with this is mic plus phantom. My only glitch with this is that this button feels like after a year or two it may wear out. I'm pretty gentle on my devices, so I hope it doesn't wear out at all. On the left hand, you have your line out headphone output right there, and it's in a good place. It's near the back. You have your speaker right here, as we showed before. There is no other additional mic input. So if you're used to the H4n had an additional mic input, sorry, it's not on this. I don't need that, so that's not a problem for me. Here is the SD card slot. Robert said he had a problem with his. Mine's pretty easy. Just go right here, pull it down, and it's ready to be pressed in to pop out my SD card. I'll pop it out, pop it back in, close it, done. USB jack, of course. Batteries go right here. I'm still rocking the included Maxwell batteries. It's smart that the Tascam decided to use 3 batteries instead of just 2. Keeps the device running longer. Another great feature about this DR-40 is that it's a smart recorder. Just say you're recording XY for one shot with the internal mics, but then you go to another shot and you want a really wide stereo sound, but you don't want to mess with changing out the channels or flipping the device upside down to get the channels right. Well, if you start flipping the mics out like so, when you flip it like this, it says, hey, you just changed your mic direction. You want to keep it in the same XY, or do you want to change it to the wide or AB mode? I always say yes, change to the AB mode, and this basically allows you to record your same left and right channels without having to swap them in post, which that's a time saver. If you can save time right now instead of having to do it in post, that's great. And if you push them back in, it says, hey, you changed direction again. Do you want to change it back to XY? Go ahead and press enter. I press enter, and I'm back to XY mode. You don't have to do that. You can figure it out in post if you want to, but it's a nice extra little touch that I haven't seen any other device do that. It also includes locking XLR combo jacks, which basically means once you have the XLR in there, the only way to get it out is if you push this button down. Most other devices do not have that. It's basically you shove it in and you can pull it right out, and that sucks if the cable's not really tight. It does not lock in like that for the 1/4" jack, but it does lock in like that for the XLR. And if you ever decide to get the remote, there's the remote jack. Not my favorite place for a remote jack, but hey, I'll give Tascam that one for doing such a great on the rest of the device. Anyways, this is my review of the Tascam DR-40. I absolutely love it. The sound quality has been phenomenal. And I'll keep on rocking it until the wheels fall off. One last tip, and this is to all the DR-40 new buyers out there. With all devices that get shipped from that are electronic, they usually have this little plastic film on it where you just peel it off and you can see the screen just a tad bit better. I recommend keeping it on. You never know how much in the field you're going to have greasy or oily fingers or oily hands on your screen. It's going to ruin your screen, or it could at least damage it. Keep this on so you can get a proper screen protector on your device, because having a nice screen on your device ups its resale value later on. Anyways, folks, I'm going to cut this off. I've made this way too long, and thank you for watching. Bye now. Boop. Hey, Frugal Filmmakers. Just a quick update here. I saw right before I was getting ready to post this video about the DR-40, saw that DJ posted a video about the H4n versus the DR-40. And he called the DR-40 a basic recorder. I'm sorry, DJ, but that's a bunch of crap. And we all know it. This is a very powerful tool. I would say it's equivalent to the H4n, if not better. The only major difference between the H4n and this that I would give the H4n a plus on is I would say, yes, the metal body that's coated with a rubberized plastic is a nice extra touch. But the difference between that and the H4n is that H4n doesn't have protected mics, internal mics. So if you drop this, the mics are going to be protected. If you drop the H4n, your mics are screwed. The next better thing about the DR-40 versus the H4n is true line inputs. The H4n doesn't have those. Those are instrument level inputs. So if you want to get line level into your H4n, you have to buy a $45 cable from B&H or elsewhere. You don't have to do that with the DR-40. Also, the DR-40 has dual record mode. To record that extra backup track in case you peak. The H4n doesn't have that. I own the H4n. I wish it had that. I've had several H4Ns since they were released, and only 18 months afterwards did they even have individual volume control for the preamps. Tascam came out with that firmware after 3 months. I'm sorry, DJ. Your last comparison was very poor in regards to the features. Your audio comparison is awesome because you take direct levels from the mic into both recorders at the same time. That's great. You've always done it and keep doing that. But the feature comparison and calling this a basic recorder, very poor. Very, very poor. DJ, we hope you can do better next time. And guys, I'll catch you later.